Alright, so we're back here with our 5th installment of our series, and this is going to be the most fun part of the series, in my opinion. It is all the OTKs. Not all of them, of course, because there are just some that come on the fly, but these are the ones that reoccur probably every match. You'll see at least one of these, or if not two of these a match. OTKing is quite frequent in Infernoids. It's probably how you win 70% of games. So I'm just going to go through some of the ones you see more frequently, and you never see them, I wouldn't say never, but you almost never see them in the same way. You can always get them, like, if you can find them, you can, like, end it the same way, but you don't always come upon them the same way. Like, you can reasoning into some of the normal summon monsters, you can activate Charge of the Light Brigade to search for some of them, and I'll just get into some of them. So this first one, probably the most common one that happens, and it's the Infernoid.
I'm trying to move it a little down here. Sorry.
It's all around this card, Ancient Sacred Wyvern, which he gains attack equal to the difference in you and your opponent's life points. So, and also you'd lose it if you had less life points than your opponent. So this happens if you're going second and your opponent leaves their board wide open. If you're able to reasoning or Charge of the Light Brigade and able to get the ability to summon an Anuku and summon Illumina and get its effect to summon a Raiden, you are able to synchro with these two to get an Ancient Sacred Wyvern. And then you will banish 3 from your hand or graveyard, summon an Infernoid Anuku. At this point, you'll attack with the Anuku, leaving your opponent with 5,000 life points. The difference between your life points should at least be 3,000 now. Gaining 3,000 attack, you would be put at 5,100 attack. You can attack your opponent directly. Now, the reason I say this isn't black and white, there's other ways you can come upon this. It doesn't have to be first turn. If your opponent upstarts ever, you can use Infernoid Tondel or Infernoid Seatsmoss instead.
A lot of the weaker ones, yeah.
Yeah, you can use, it just pretty much makes him gain an extra 1,000. So, also, if your opponent didn't just end, let's say they set a monster, normal a monster, and you're able to summon this before you have to summon any of your Lightsworns, before you can mill with them, you can summon Infernoid Anuku and then blow up your opponent's monsters, clearing their monsters, and if you have enough, they activate a backer, you can even negate it with Infernoid Anuku and then bring it back. Like, there's multiple ways this can happen. So, another way it can happen, it's another kind of weird way. It's if you have a Mathematician and you're running Lightsworn Archer Felice, or Felice Lightsworn Archeress, or whatever, you can send her from your deck to your graveyard, and then that allows, we'll just pretend this is it. She would special herself from the graveyard because she was sent by a card effect, monster effect, my bad. And since she is a Light Tuner level 4, you can synchro with her for Ancient Sacred Wyvern, and then bring out Infernoid Anuku as well.
And also note, this OTK can be done through monsters by just doing it in the other order, summoning Anuku first to blow up the field, and then swing.
Alright. So that's definitely one of the more common ones, and there's, as you can see, multiple ways you can get it. You can reasoning into the Raiden, and if they call the 4, that's how you get the Raiden in the grave for your Lumina. And just lots of ways to happen. So another way to OTK your opponent is by cheating the system, and that is when you are able to remove effect monsters from your field and make them into just non-effect monsters. Vanillas, that's what they're called. So, these 2 extra deck monsters are able to remove 7 or 8, respectively, effect monsters from your field. So these can definitely help you get out more of your demi-bosses, more of your just single monsters, and they definitely just put more damage on the board. They also require quite a bit of resources because you have to make this, then you'd have to drop 2 more demi-bosses to have game. So with either of these, you can pull out any 2 demi-bosses besides 2 Seatsmosses. So if you go Seatsmoss, you can go an Tondel, or...
And that'll be exactly 8,000.
You can swap one of them out for a boss monster. That would be the second summon because the boss monsters lock you out of summoning. So either of these guys definitely help make game, and they even help punish your opponent, I guess. If you had 8 and you can overlay into this, and let's say your opponent is you're facing the mirror match, opponents have that, you can have just enough to summon maybe him and one more. You can get out one of your baby monsters. I'm trying to find one of them. Let's see. You can get out a... I need some level 4s under that. My bad. We'll have some level 4s under this. Then you can get out the Patrula and the Infernoid Tondel. A Tondel itself is going to put in a ton of work if your opponent leaves just a small monster on their board. Since it sends if it sends a monster to the graveyard, it can attack it directly again. Well, it doesn't actually have to be directly. Attack again, my bad. And then you can attack, and that will be pretty much 9,000 damage, I think, right there.
Yeah, it'll be a lot. Also, right here, if they do ever leave a very small monster, you can do the 2-card Gaga Samurai plus Antondel if they have a small card in attack mode.
Yeah.
This will deal 5,000. This deals 3,800.
That brings us to our next card. Gaga Samurai is another great rank 4. He doesn't remove as many levels as going Pearl does, but you have to overlay 2 level 4s, and he becomes a rank 4, so that does remove a lot of levels, allowing you to summon up to another baby and then another demi-boss or boss, depending on what you have. So with this board, Gaga Samurai would let you detach right on its summon. You don't have to wait until the battle phase, and then it can attack twice during this battle phase. So you can use this extra one you detach to maybe summon a baby from your hand, or to summon a boss instead of summoning this. And you can help push for tons of damage, if not game, because he can put in 3,800 points of damage just himself.
He also, if for whatever reason your OTK doesn't go through, which is very rare in this deck because it can stop pretty much every form of countermeasure, he has an effect where during your opponent's turn he can switch to defense and direct attack targets to him. So if he protects babies, babies go plus every turn you have them by their destruction effect. So he can draw away fire from your important cards for the turn, and then your next turn you will be able to pop the rest of their back row and win.
Alright, so that's pretty much all about the rank 4 OTKs we have, I think.
Yep.
So I'm going to go ahead and just get this out of the way and go into one of the cooler ones, in my opinion. So this one requires quite a bit of grave setup. You are going to have to summon...
You'll need 2 level 7s and 5 Infernoids in grave.
Yeah, you'll need 5 Infernoids in grave, 2 level 7s, and then 2 level 7s at a minimum, and then it'll help if you have one of the actual bosses and enough to summon that. They can make pretty scary boards even if you don't finish your opponent off right there. So if you're able to do this, you can summon an Infernoid Seeds Moss from your graveyard or from your hand by banishing 2. Then you're going to summon another, and now you're at 14, you won't be able to summon anymore. So you're going to overlay these 2, and you'll summon a Draco Sack. Now you're going to activate Draco Sack's effect. You're detaching your Seeds Moss, so this will be able to come back if you don't have another demi-boss, but ideally you'll have an Atondel or a Deviateer and a Nuku as well, because this is the smaller of all of those. And Mecha Phantom Beast Draco Sack is going to bring out 2 tokens. And you're going to take advantage of being at 7, and you'll be able to summon one more of your monsters, be it...
It's still 10,000 with Seat Moss, so you can just summon him back right now.
Yeah, you'll be... it can be any of them, really. So you summon Seat Moss. Now you can't summon anymore because you have 7 and 7. So you're going to go ahead and normal summon a Raiden from your hand. And since these tokens are level 3, you can go ahead and synchro with these for Clear Wing Synchro Dragon, which brings out ridiculous OTKs and removal. But we'll get into some of his removal things. I think we can have a whole segment just on him. So what you're going to have to do is you're going to be able to attack with your Mecha Phantom Beast Draco Sack because you didn't pop anything this turn. And then you'll be able to attack with your Infernoid Seeds Moss. And that right there would be 5,200 damage. Now you're going to go ahead and activate the effect of Infernoid Seeds Moss, tributing any monster besides himself to banish a card in your opponent's graveyard. This allows you to use the effect of Clearwind Synchro Dragon. When when a monster of level 5 or higher activates this effect on the field, you can negate that effect if you do destroy it, and if he destroys a monster on the field, you can have him gain the attack of the monster that he destroyed. So now Clear Wing Synchro Dragon is going to gain 2,600 attack, or 2,800 if you're using Tondel, so on and so forth. And you'll be able to put him to 5,100 at least. And that will be definitely 10,300 damage.
Also note, this card, so in addition to that effect it just used, it can still negate Valk or, Swiss Scarecrow, or cards that, like, hand traps that basically try to negate attacks and end the battle phase.
Yeah, even though it doesn't say they target on the card, to negate an attack, they do actually have to target the monster. So you can stop the attack, or stop the effect of that. But unfortunately, if they do use one of those, you can't destroy a card in the graveyard, so it won't gain the attack.
But it still negated
but it still
the effects.
Stops the hand traps, which is the important part.
Also, this is pretty obvious, but Infernoid, if you are ever worried about a hand trap, Infernoid Deviate can negate any hand trap and banish it. So this is, if you have the ability to push with this, or the resources, always try to push with this, because this makes it extra safe.
Yeah, if you are trying to push and you have resources, Deviate is definitely the safer play. If you never, if you're not going to be able to get the OTK out, Onuku's a really safe play because you can just stop any of your opponent's spells. And if you have that combined with a Clear Wing Synchro Dragon, stopping high-level monsters from activating their effects on the field, and stopping your Onuku from being targeted or himself, it makes pretty big boards. And I think that will lead us into our next segment, which will be on Unbreakable Boards.